Hey everyone. Today we're talking about something you've probably experienced if you've used ChatGPT or Claude or any of these AI tools for more than a few minutes. Why does AI sometimes just forget things you told it? Why does it contradict itself? Why does it suddenly suggest something you've already rejected? And more importantly, what does this behavior tell us about how these systems actually work? Let's dive in. So here's the scenario. You start a conversation with AI. Early on, everything's great. You ask it something, gives you a detailed answer, you follow up, it remembers what you said. Everything flows smoothly. But then, 20 minutes later, 30 messages deep, something changes. Suddenly it suggests something you already told it you didn't want, or it contradicts something it said earlier, or it acts like a key piece of information you gave it at the beginning just doesn't exist. Look at this example. Early in the conversation, you tell it, "My budget is $5,000. It acknowledges that. Got it. I'll keep all recommendations under $5,000. Fast forward 20 minutes. You're still in the same conversation, and it suggests a solution that costs $8,000. What happened? Did it just decide to ignore you? Is it broken? No. Something fundamental is happening under the hood. And once you understand it, so many puzzling AI behaviors suddenly make perfect sense. To understand why AI behaves this way, we need to talk about something called context windows. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to get technical on you. I'm going to explain this in a way that actually makes sense. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not just what context windows are, but why they matter for how you use these tools. Ready? Let's break it down with an analogy. Imagine you're reading a book, a really good novel. You're deep in the story, following every twist and turn. But here's the catch. You can only see 10 pages at a time through a special reading window. That's it. 10 pages. That's all you can look at simultaneously. So let's say you're on page 47. What can you see? Pages 38 through 47. 10 pages. Crystal clear. Every word is visible and accessible. But what about everything before page 38? All those earlier pages you already read. They're literally not visible anymore. They might as well not exist. Even though you read them, even though they happened, you can't look back at them right now. They've slid out of your viewing window. To see them again, you'd have to scroll back, which means losing sight of your current pages. Keep this image in mind because that's exactly how AI works. That reading window, that's a context window. AI models can only see a certain amount of text at once. Your messages, its responses, everything in the conversation, all of it has to fit within this window. Now, the size of that window varies by model. Smaller models might have a context window of about 4,000 tokens, roughly 3,000 words. Mid-range models may be 8,000 tokens, about 6,000 words. Larger models can handle 32,000 tokens or more. That's around 24,000 words. But here's the key. Every model has a limit. Always, no exceptions. Even the biggest, most advanced models, there's always a maximum amount of text they can process at once. And when you hit that limit, things start falling out. Let me show you how this plays out in practice. When you start a new conversation, let's say you send your first message. I need help planning a marketing campaign for a new product launch. AI responds with a detailed, comprehensive answer. Maybe ask some follow-up questions. At this point, everything fits comfortably in the context window. The AI can see your entire message and its complete response. No information is lost yet. We're good. But then you keep going. You ask follow-ups. It responds. Back and forth. The conversation grows. Messages are piling up. Your questions, its answers, more questions, more answers. The context window is still the same size, but now it's filling up. We're getting close to the limit. Everything's still working fine, but we're approaching that boundary. And then, eventually, you hit it. What happens next? New messages come in at the bottom of the context window, and old messages fall out at the top. The AI literally cannot see those early messages anymore. They're gone from its view. And this is critical to understanding. It's not stored somewhere else. It's not remembered in some backup memory. It's simply not in the context window anymore. From the AI perspective, those messages might as well have never existed. And this explains everything. Why does AI forget things? It's not memory loss. Those messages aren't in its context anymore. It's not forgetting. It literally cannot see them. Why does it ignore your earlier instruction? It's not being stubborn. When message 40 comes in and you wonder why it's not following what you said in message 2, it's because it genuinely doesn't have access to message 2 anymore. Is this a bug? Should AI developers fix this? No. This is exactly how the architecture is designed to work. It's a feature of how these models process language, not a flaw. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. You're in a long planning session with AI. Message 1 early in the conversation, you say, the budget is $5,000 and we need to launch by March 1st. Then you have this long discussion. Messages 2 through 15. You're talking about target audience, messaging strategy, marketing channels, creative concepts, lots of back and forth. Then you get to message 16, and the AI suggests we could do an $8,000 video campaign launching in April. Wait, what? You specifically said $5,000 and March 1st. But here's what happened. By message 16, those original constraints, the budget and the deadline, had fallen out of the context window. The AI wasn't ignoring you. It simply couldn't see those constraints anymore. This is why understanding context windows matters. So what does this mean for you? First, long conversations will eventually lose early information. It's not if, it's when. Every conversation has this limitation. Second, important details need to be repeated or referenced. If something matters for later in the conversation, you need to bring it up again when it becomes relevant. Third, some conversations should be split into multiple sessions. Sometimes it makes sense to start fresh so your key information is visible from the beginning. Let me give you some practical strategies for working with this. Strategy 1, start fresh when it makes sense. Instead of having one endless thread where you discuss project planning, budget timeline, team assignments, and execution all in the same 50-message conversation, use multiple focused conversations. One chat for initial planning, another for budget breakdown, another for timeline details, another for team assignments. Each new conversation starts with full context visibility for that specific topic. Much more effective. Strategy 2, summarize and restate key information. When a conversation is getting long and you know you're approaching limits, periodically restate what matters. Just to confirm, we're still working with a $5,000 budget and March 1st deadline, right? This brings critical context back into the visible window. You're essentially reminding both yourself and the AI of what matters most. Strategy 3, use external memory. Save key decisions in a document. Keep important information in a file you can reference or paste when needed. Create project briefs that you start new conversations with. If you're working on something over multiple sessions, maintain a brief with all essential context and paste it at the beginning of each new chat. Organize by topic. Keep different files for different projects or conversation threads. Here's the bigger picture of what this reveals about how AI actually works. It's not thinking, not in the way we think. It's processing text that's visible in its current window. There are no hidden thoughts or understanding beyond what it can currently see. It doesn't have memory, it has context. And that's a big difference. Memory persists over time. Context is temporary and limited. Understanding the architecture, how these tools actually work under the hood, helps you work effectively with them, not against them. And once you understand context windows, so many other AI behaviors suddenly make sense. Why doesn't pasting a huge document always work? Because if your document is bigger than the context window, parts of it will be invisible. The AI can't process what it can't see. Why doesn't telling it to remember this actually make it remember? Because there's no special memory function. Everything lives in a context window. When it's full, old memories disappear to make room for new information. Why do some platforms have message limits? They're protecting against context window overflow. When you hit the limit and keep pushing, quality degrades fast. It's all about context window constraints working behind the scenes. One more thing. Not all AI is the same. Different models have different context window sizes. GPT 3.5 has a smaller window. GPT-4 has a larger one. Claude has its own size. GPT-4 Turbo even bigger. Larger context windows mean you can have longer conversations before information starts falling out. Understanding these differences helps you choose the right tool for your specific needs. If you know you're going to have a really long, complex conversation, pick a model with a bigger context window. Here's the key insight I want you to walk away with. AI doesn't forget. It's always working with what it can currently see through its context window. Once you understand this, you'll interact with AI differently. You'll structure conversations better, you'll get frustrated less, you'll achieve better results. Because you're working with the technology, not fighting against it. This is part of a series we're doing where we're making AI concepts actually make sense. No jargon, no hand waving, just clear explanation of how these tools really work. If you found this helpful, subscribe. We're going to keep breaking down these fundamental concepts so you can build real understanding, not just memorize tips and tricks. And if you're thinking about how to apply AI in your business and you want someone who actually understands how this stuff works to help you figure it out, reach out to us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.